It's incredible to be here. I'm Laura Waters Hinson. I'm a longtime friend of Windrider and participant in Windrider. I'm on the film faculty at American University, and I'm also a filmmaker myself, and so it's a great honor to be here with all of you tonight. So I'll do a very brief introduction because not everyone was fully introduced, but the man Troy Kotsur needs no true introduction. An Academy Award winner, BAFTA winner, Critics' Choice Award, Screen Actors Guild Award, it goes on and on. Troy is also a director in his own right of a feature film called No Ordinary Hero, the Super Deafy movie. And so I really need to see that. And we all need to see that. Secondarily here, we have Sean Schiavolin, sorry, I'm learning. Schiavolin, did I say it correctly?
Schiavolin.
Yes. And you are the director of the film. And Sean is an Austin-based film director who focuses on stories that explore cultural environments, human connection, and man's search for meaning. And your work has been featured in the New York Times, the Vatican, film festivals, and cultural events all over the world. Great to have you. And last but not least is John Papola, who is the producer of the film. And John is the co-founder, CEO, and creative director of Emergent Order, which is a creative studio based in Austin. He's directed and produced many of his own films, and is also the creator, writer, and producer of the podcast called Dad Saves America. So thank you all, and we're going to start with a softball question here, which is, how did this film come about? How did you all meet? Where was the genesis? Tell us the genesis story of this film.
So, as you said, we do this show, Dad Saves America, which is about celebrating really all the themes that are present in the film. The essential heroic role I think we as men can play as fathers in the lives of our kids, and how to have them reject what I think has become a culture of victimhood I think we all have to confront. And I think Troy had so many reasons to embrace that, and his father helped him reject that to unimaginable heights and overcome that challenges that God placed before him. And so when we saw him give his Oscar speech, our office was buzzing, and then it just happened to be the case that Troy and I share a manager in Mark Finley, who's the executive producer on the movie, for bringing us all together. So I pitched Mark on, we should have Troy on the show, and maybe if we hit it off, we could tell his story about his dad and go deeper into that story. And then I turned to Sean, and he and I had worked together as producer and director on a film about lifting the homeless out of the dire situations they're in. And I just thought, I knew Sean had the right touch and the right heart and the right delicacy as a filmmaker to bring it to life and to grapple with the challenges that I'd love him to talk about, of trying to make this film very accessible to a deaf audience and a hearing audience, which presented a lot of challenges none of us had ever experienced.
Great. Okay, my next question is for Troy. Troy, last time when you were awarded at Sundance, and really CODA took Sundance by storm back in 2021, but as I understand it, that was during the pandemic, and I don't think you were able to show that in front of a live audience. So, how does it feel to be back at Sundance before a live audience, this time showing your own film?
Well, looking out on this audience, wow, we're live. This wasn't what I expected. This is quite a large audience, like 500 people or something like that. During the pandemic, when they announced that we had won multiple awards, including Best Audience Award, the Jury Award, and Best Ensemble Cast here at Sundance, it just so happened we were celebrating on Zoom. And the whole cast was on Zoom, and so it was announced that we won, and we were jumping up and cheering, but there was no one to hug. We were just alone in a room. And it was such a strange experience. And now being here, it feels like I'm making up for lost time. And I feel like I was due. And especially to be here with my wife is really meaningful, that my wife Deanne is here. And she's always wanted to see Park City and Sundance, so I'm so glad that my wife's here with me. And I'm proud that I come from a multi-generational Catholic family. We had priests in our family, and my daughter went to a Catholic high school. And so she's off to college now in Colorado, and looking back, I'm quite proud to have been a father. You know, dads save America, right?
Wonderful. Okay, Sean, I have a question for you. How did you develop the cinematic vision of the film, especially in light of so much of it had to be recreated? You had to do reenactments. You had some archival to work with, but tell us about developing the vision and how you worked with Troy and John. How did you come up with this approach?
First of all, did you guys? Isn't that the most amazing kiss that you've seen on screen when Troy embraces Deanne at the Oscars? That is just like, wow. So I just
She's over there wearing a blue hat.
That says a lot. And I mean, everything that comes out of this man right here is like full volume expression, beautiful. Like, the guy's an artist. So I guess the answer is just I developed it out of fear of letting him down.
Hey, you know, the important thing is trust, right? And so we felt that we believed in this project. We had a mutual trust. And you were asking me for family photos. And I was like, where are those photos? You know, from when I was growing up and when I was young, I had to dig around in storage. I had to call my brothers. Hey, do you have these photos? And I had to collect them all. And I found these VHS tapes. And I gathered all these materials and handed them over to these guys to do the dirty work. It wasn't my problem, but you know, it was amazing how it came out, and very touching. So I'm so grateful for you for letting me share this story.
Yeah, he didn't tell you that he couldn't find the shot of him at his graduation. He told us this in a pre-interview, and I was just hooked. I was like, oh my God, we gotta have that. That is like the sort of core of the story, especially at that point. I was like, oh, we can build off of that. That's incredible. And then it disappeared. He couldn't find it. And we went out to film with him in Phoenix. And it's like, you know, triple digits in weeks. And he's like, hey, I found it. And he's like, it's out in my car. I don't know how long it was out in his car. But I was like, what? It's out in your car? What are you doing?
Yeah. You're exaggerating. I can't hear you. I can't hear what you're saying.
You know, but to get to your question, you know, it was all. You know, I think every project is certainly poses its unique challenges, and it forces you to make creative decisions based on limitations or you know, opportunities. And so for this one in particular, the creative vision and aesthetic of this is all around, you know, like this. I had never made a film for a deaf audience before, and so every turn I was learning things that I had to give up, like things that, like in typical voiceover, you know, typical documentary filmmaking, or at least maybe my style, I tend to like use less and less talking heads on screen and subject on screen, and it's like, oh, well, we can't do that, right? And if there's all this FaceTime, we can like accentuate the background. We can try to present this. The emotion in different ways, and he doesn't really need it. He really doesn't. But you know, I was like, I got to be useful. I got to bring something to the story.
Right. Yeah, it came together so beautifully. And one of my favorite moments is when Troy said, "Dad was my hero," and it got me thinking about, you know, so often the experts in storytelling will tell us that we need, there's got to be a problem in the protagonist's life, and so often one of the most cliched kind of tropes of somebody's background is an absent father, or a father who was abusive, or a deadbeat dad, right? And this film turns that assumption on its head. And so I guess my question for you is, Why is the portrayal, the positive portrayal of dads in film so powerful and so needed, and why do we not see more of it?
That's a really good question. It makes me think twice because I really feel that regarding fatherhood and regarding why my dad was my hero, I ended up forgetting that he was in a wheelchair. I forgot that he couldn't sign. I just looked at him as a strong person. His spirit was incredibly strong. He didn't let anything stop him. Like I mentioned, he didn't care what people thought about him. And, you know, I looked at myself and I was like, being deaf, so what? It's not a big deal. I didn't care what people thought about me either. And I wasn't broken. I'm not broken. And my dad saw me as a human being. He didn't see me as deaf. He wasn't trying to fix me. And that really taught me that there was a reason for living. And so for so many years, looking back, I really started to understand what God did and what that plan may have been after the accident happened. And maybe it wasn't my time. Maybe that had to happen for a reason that led me to where I am today. And so I felt like sharing this strong message that could reach people. And it was what was so beautiful about family and my parents being involved in my life and loving me with all their spirit, and parents being involved in their children's lives. So I really wanted to share that message with the world in this short film, and that's why we're here.
I think one other thing I'll say about this is it's an interesting dramatic challenge that you're bringing up, because conflict is the heart of drama. And I think the relationship we have with our parents is sort of a natural place to focus on conflict, because we all have a lot of conflict with our parents at one point or another. And in another way, and I think this is embedded in the film, there's someone wise, I think, said that you don't really become a man or an adult until your parents pass. And as a parent myself, I have an 18-year-old who's about to go off to college. I still see him like a little baby. And so now I understand, like, oh, my parents look at me, I'm 46, like I'm a baby. And so that there is this tension we have, even when we have a loving father, even when we have a great hero, that we are in their shadow in some way. There is a weirdness to that relationship of father to son or daughter, mother and daughter, mother and son. And so I think as filmmakers seeking drama, we gravitate towards where the pain is there. But I think we need more of the other side, which is there's other parts of drama that we can bring to the foreground and celebrate these relationships that are so essential to founding civilization in a bedrock that is strong and firm. And I think that's what this movie's about. This is about Troy having every aspect of that foundation whacked at with a sledgehammer, and it's standing strong, and him realizing there's nothing he can't do because of that. And I think that's really powerful. I think that's what we as parents are called upon to do for our kids. And so that's what the movie's about. For me, that's why, like, as a Dad Saves America production, that's where the themes come to the surface. And it's always nice when you can lead with character instead of theme, and yet still have the theme be so powerful. And so that's something that was exciting about this from day one.
Absolutely. And I'd also like to add that my dad was extremely busy. He was a police chief, and it was quite a dangerous job. And he had 4 children at home. And my youngest brother drowned in our swimming pool, and his brain no longer functioned due to that. And so my father was also involved in taking care of my little brother when he was young. And when my dad got in his car accident, he never stopped. And he never stopped being a father at any moment. So, looking at myself, I was like, I'm deaf. Like I said, it's not a big deal to me, because look at what my father did. And he helped me become who I am. And everything he did made me who I am. And he even took the time to learn sign language, because communication was so important. Even though he was a police chief, so busy, having 4 sons, having 4 wild boys at home, he still found time to engage with me in sign language, took me water skiing, golfing, hunting, and all of the above, and he saw me as capable. And that's why I feel like, hey, look, that's why being a dad is so important. That's why being a hero is so important. Just be involved in your family's life, and that's a big part of who I am. And you need to think of things like that perspective. The reason why I'm okay is because of my dad. You know what I mean? And I'm so grateful to have had that positive role model in my father. And I've heard a lot about abusive fathers and about divorce and about all of these conflicts and issues. But my mother, speaking of my mother as well, is she continued to support my father through all of that hardship. And she let me do whatever I dreamed as well. So I think that's why our message is so important and why it resonates.
It's no surprise to anyone that there is a fatherlessness crisis in this country. Upwards of 20 million children live in a household that does not have either a biological father or an adoptive father or a stepfather. I'm wondering, how has this film been used in terms of social impact, and what is the response that you're seeing from audiences to the message of the story?
This is still kind of the start of the journey for the film in a way, because we debuted at Tribeca and we're so happy to be here. The movie became broadly available on YouTube last month, and just looking even at the comments, they're unbelievable. My favorite is somebody saying, like, I've been ugly crying for 25 minutes, which as a blubbery Italian I can relate to. It's always difficult when you want to make an impact with the film and understanding the impact you're making, and you can never truly know. So I think for us, we want to get it as broadly as possible. It's the biggest, most important fact that nobody or not enough people talk about. If you have an active father in your life, you will do better on every single measure that we have. And if you don't, you are at a lot of risk. And so we can harp on the negative and the absence, and that's great, but I think what this is trying to do is to provide that light. We have so much negativity in our society today. We have so much focus on what's broken, and that doesn't leave you with a path. And I think what the movie is trying to do from an impact perspective is shine a light on a path to meaning and purpose. You said that, like, this is the stuff that Sean is all about, and me too, is creating films that are about the man's search for meaning, Viktor Frankl. And that's what this is trying to do. I'm going to turn it over to Sean because I know he has things to say about that.
Sure. What do I have to say? I think, my thought goes to Greg selecting the film in Tribeca and starting there. There seemed to be a sort of a general sort of the time to honor fathers, and I think what are we doing? As a storyteller, you just tell the story, and hopefully that opens doors, ideas, potentials with young storytellers, filmmakers. That we can. It's okay. We don't have to like sort of follow the trends, and we can think about things independently, and it's okay to revere our fathers and fatherhood, and sort of take another look at it. Fatherhood is tough. I've got 4 kids. It's not a glamorous role, and you got to, like, dads have to carry. They've got a big burden to carry. It's Lynn Kotsur is this sort of icon of fatherhood that can carry a family through tremendously hard times and tremendous challenges, and to exalt a character like that and to show a character like that to large audiences is what we can do.
Okay, last question is for Troy.
Sure. If I may just add one more thing.
Sure.
I agree completely with Sean said, especially of what is unforgettable is you always remember what my dad did in my heart. I'll always remember it in my heart. And when I became a father, I tried to use everything he taught me because I want my daughter to remember me and everything I did for her before my time is up. And so it's important to really carry on what the positivity in your heart from generation to generation. And I really feel strongly about that positivity because my dad was fine. I knew I'd be fine. And I felt like it's how the outside world perceived us, right? And that was a hardship. But you just have to be who you are. I had to be myself. And one of my roles is to change perspectives. And so to be able to change perspectives is amazing. And that's how you reach people. And with sign language, increasing awareness of sign language and deaf culture as well. And I'm so grateful for that. And again, thank you for providing interpreters and captioning. It really does mean a lot. I have a deaf friend and a deaf wife who are also able to enjoy this movie, and we enjoyed a film earlier that had captioning, and so I'm really appreciative of that. And it's an honor to be here again at Windrider. Thank you.
I just want to say real quick, it blows my mind to think about this guy right here is the product of this overflowing love of this tremendously, really ordinary man, ordinary dad who had a clear conviction of who he was, clear identity, and just what gave everything to that, right? Yeah.
Okay, last quick question. One of the most profound parts of the movie was when your father told you that he wanted you to continue to believe in God and that he maintained his own faith through an incredible tragedy and the loss of this mobility and the ability to communicate with you. How did that impact you to see him actively not lose hope in the face of such a challenge?
When I was young, I remember that my dad always tried to teach me about God. And at that time, we went to this Catholic church that didn't have a deaf program or sign language interpreters or accessibility, and my dad had to look for other churches. And there was a Grace Community Church, I believe it was called, had a deaf community program. And so my dad found the time to drive across town on weekends and drop me off because they had classes in sign language. And I didn't really know who I was or what religion even was. I was just being taught about God as a child through the years. And after I was growing up, I remembered that I saw this priest, or my dad was preached a sermon and actually got up on stage. And so I was like, wow, my dad even found the time to learn about God and religion. And then through my dad's accident, he didn't stop. He never stopped his faith. And so looking back on him, I just can't help but think how strong he was. And so he taught me to keep the faith. He taught me to never stop believing. And therefore, I had to learn to keep my faith and not let anything stop me either. So I felt like we had a parallel journey in some ways.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody. Yes.
Thank you.